everyone, this is Bridget coming to you today with the instructions for this week's Steam Ahead to Go craft binary beading. Before we jump into the craft kit, we're going to talk really quick about what the heck we're doing today. What is binary beading? So to answer that, we need to go all the way back to the 1960s when a group of folks got together to invent a system for something called a teleprinter that would assign all the letters and symbols or characters in the English language to a number. That system that they came up with is called ASCII, ASCII. Those numbers were not represented the way we write numbers. They were represented in binary, a number system that's based on 2s instead of 10s, like the one we use in our everyday lives. So in our decimal number system, we have digits that overflow to the next space when they get to 10. Some of you have probably celebrated your double-digit birthday because you've moved on to having 2 digits. In binary, we have bits, which is just, a way of scrunching together the word binary and digit, binary digit, bit, that overflow to the next spot when they get to 2. So the only 2 numerals you see in a binary number are 1s and 0s. For example, let's look at this number. In our decimal system, this number means 10. We've overflowed from our first digit, where the 0 is, to our second digit, because we don't have numerals bigger than 9 to write with. So to write 10, we're really saying we have 1 10 and 0 1s. Just like when we say 9 and we write a 9, we're saying we have 9 1s and nothing else. So in binary, this same number is how we would write 2. So to write 2 in binary, remember we only have numerals that are 0 or 1. We have to overflow from our first digit where the 0 is to our second digit because we don't have anything bigger than 1. So we are actually saying we have 1 2 and 0 1s. Because of binary only being made up of these 2 numerals, a 1 and a 0, it's really simple for computers to understand. It might not be simple for us to understand because we've grown up counting to 10 on our fingers, but it's really easy for computers to make sense of. That's why binary is used by almost all modern computers, including all of the computers in your devices that you don't really think of as being computers. Teleprinters also used binary, so that's why the ASCII system assigned its numbers to our letters and symbols using a binary code. In the ASCII system, all binary codes for a character are 7 bits long, but computers usually use an 8-bit group, usually called a byte or an octet, as the smallest possible chunk of information. And that's easy to solve, right? Some of you who are born in the months of January to September have probably tried to enter your birthday before into a computer, and it really, really wants you to use 2 digits for that month number, and you've probably written, like I'm born in June, so I usually write 06 for my month. So 06 still means 6, right? It just means 0 10s and 6 1s. So the same principle applies to binary. We can stick a 0 in front of the number to push it up to 8 bits without changing the meaning. 0 1 0 will still mean 2. Another thing you'll probably notice when we get into our kit is you have a translation sheet, so don't freak out. You'll probably notice on that translation sheet that you only have the basic letters of the English alphabet, A through Z, in lowercase and capital, and some symbols. There are more symbols included in ASCII, but I've cut down some of the ones I don't think anyone would want on a keychain. But there are things missing, like if you wanted to put in an E with an accent on top of it, you don't have that. If you wanted to put in a U with an umlaut, because you're a big fan of the German language, you wouldn't be able to do that. That's because ASCII was developed here in the US for English language communication, and so at the time they didn't bother adding those other letters. The good news is there's another system that's kind of taken over for ASCII. ASCII was really popular right around into the early 2000s when this other guy you might have heard of named Unicode showed up and started to overshadow ASCII. Unicode has more options for everyone, including emoji, and their goal is to have one standard system for encoding all the different ways people write letters and numbers, all the different scripts, all in one system that the whole world can use and be standardized. The good news is you can still benefit from learning, the ASCII binary alphabet because Unicode is compatible with it. They just took the ASCII alphabet and kind of imagine, a big fish eating a littler fish. They just absorbed it in there. So the same numbers in the ASCII system, the same number that means little a in ASCII is the same number that means little a in Unicode. Unicode's just bigger and has more. So now that I have talked your ear off, we are going to get into our actual kit, where today we're going to pick a word, any word as long as it's not too long, and turn that word into a keychain thanks to the ASCII binary alphabet. So let's get started. So you can see here on the bag we have our color scheme, and now we're going to open it up and see what's inside. Okay, inside we have our little sheet with our contents and where you can go to see this video and where you can go to let us know who is using this kit. Please fill that out for us. It helps us know what age kids are interested in these crafts and that kind of thing. And then you see we have a planning sheet that will help you plan out your keychain before you make it. And then we also have a binary ASCII alphabet sheet. So then we also have our craft lace taped around one of the containers of our beads so that it doesn't get tangled for you all. So you can just take that off, be sure to remove the tape as well, and just unwind it from around your bead cup. So again, that's the craft lace on the list. And then we also have one color of beads, and then in the bag we also have another color of beads. Should be 45 roughly of each. And then of course we got our little keychain ring, our jump ring. And you'll probably want a pencil. So then we are going to jump in to picking out a word and planning out a sheet. You can do this two ways. The difference is explained on the sheet, but it's basically about whether you want the keychain to be read from left to right or top to bottom. We are going to go with the way that reads left to right, and we are going to make a keychain that says STEAM, of course. So we write our letters down at the bottom so we can keep track of what they are, and then we are going to go over to the binary ASCII alphabet sheet, and we are going to find each of those letters and figure out what is the binary number associated with them. And then we can just write each bit from that number into one of the beads. With this version, we write the numbers from top to bottom. That will let us read from left to right each word. So then we're just going to go through and do all of those until we have the code written down for each letter. And then we can go ahead and put our translation sheet away, and we're going to get out our beads. I'm going to be putting the beads on each of the numbers, but you could also color your sheet. Maybe since I'm doing 2 purple beads, maybe 2 different shades of purple. But I'm just going to go ahead and stick the beads right on top. So the beads I'm going to use to represent the ones, I'm just sticking everywhere on the sheet I see a 1. And then we'll zoom through that, and then we will grab the beads I'm going to use to represent 0, and I'm going to put each of those on every 0 I see. So one color should equal your 1, and one color should equal your 0s. So I used the solid color for the 1 and the clear color for the 0 because that made sense to me. And then you're going to get your craft lace and you're going to fold it in half by matching up the ends. Well, just like that. And then you're going to slide down to the other spot where it's folded in half. You have a nice little loop there. And we're going to tie it onto our jump ring using that loop. Just stick the loop into the jump ring, and then we're going to take those 2 ends and stick them through the loop so that the lace is wrapped around the jump ring. Just pull it through, and you have a nice little knot holding it on to your jump ring. So then you're going to take your 2 ends, and if you start putting the beads on right away, like I do, going left to right, you might find that the keychain shifts a little bit when we go to tighten this up. You'll see it happen. Yep, and my keychain slides all over the desk. So we are going to grab some tape so that we can lock that keychain in place. And now you see when I pull it, it's a lot easier. So you fed the lace through both ends, and then you pull it tight. And then you just go on to the next line. I gotta tidy up my beads a little bit because I bumped my paper. So find your end again, and then again left to right, you're going to put your next line of beads on, just like you wrote in your plan. And then you feed the other end of the lace in through the other side and pull it tight, and it pulls it up to the top. And you just do that for each line, working your way through systematically, making sure you keep the order right. And then you're just going to pull this last one nice and tight, get everything looking good. And then all we have left to do is tie a knot on each end so that our beads can't go flying off later. So we just tie 2 quick knots. And you want to try to get those knots as tight up against the beads as you want, because otherwise your keychain might sag a little. Then you just do the second knot, Again, trying to stay as close to the beads as you can. And if it doesn't work out the first time, you can always try to tie a second knot like I do here. And then last thing is you need to cut off the excess. If you don't have a pocket knife that someone who loves you very much got you, you can always use regular scissors. And then you could just take it off the table, and there you go. You could read it. Each column is one byte, so that reading from left to right, it says STEAM, STEAM. And we're done. Miss Catherine will be back next week with the Take and Make craft, and please remember to let us know who in your family did your Steam Ahead to Go craft kit. Have fun out there.